Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Violet Evergarden. We're finally going to finish that discussion about Violet Evergarden. I do want to preface this by saying that I have watched the 13 episodes on Netflix for the anime series, and then I watched the OVA where she works with an opera singer. I don't know the title of that one, to be honest. I have not watched the movie yet, and there's a reason for that, and I will tell you guys at the end because it's not really like a good reason, but it's still my reason nonetheless. But we're going to talk about the anime as a whole now that I've finished the show and just how incredibly impactful and beautiful Violet Evergarden is as a show, but also as a character. I think that she's one of those characters that really can just carry a storyline by herself. And then of course it's nice to have all those side characters and those kind of like side arcs, but Violet herself is 100% the reason why I watch the show, and it's 100% the reason why I continue to watch it and will watch the movie now. Hello, welcome. If you're new here, I'm a character driven reader, consumer of anime, manga, whatever you want to call it. I like characters. Characters are my bread and butter. You get me with a good plot, a decent plot, but characters, that's where it's at for me. And Violet Evergarden is like the perfect, dare I say, it's like the perfect story to follow if you're looking for character development, if you're looking for genuine, organic, full of substance character development, right? Like, it felt like Violet went through not a lot of different moments or hardships or obstacles. I felt like she went through a couple of really big ones and they impacted her so much. And then I got snippets into her, like into those smaller moments, the moments that maybe aren't as important as the big ones, but ultimately between the big moments and the small moments and the people around Violet who are trying to nurture her and just support her, really not even like guide her and tell her what to do. But between all of that, Violet, she blossomed, and it was beautiful feeling like I got to watch her go through every single moment. I felt like I really got a bird's eye view of what Violet went through. I think sometimes in stories, whether it's on page or on the screen, I do feel like sometimes we don't see everything. We're either told the things that we don't see, or we just kind of have to assume or guess or something. I think that Violet Evergarden, the anime, I think it did a beautiful job of giving me that bird's eye view, but also zeroing in and spotlighting Violet. And yeah, there were moments where we focused on other characters around her, but ultimately, in a very selfish way that I absolutely enjoyed, everything was about Violet. Everything was about her and everything came back to her. And I really appreciated that perspective. I really appreciated having that character to like count on, to be that was reliable, that I knew, okay, we're learning about this lady, this woman who is trying to write a letter to her daughter. We're going to try not to cry this time. Who's trying to write a letter to her daughter. She's trying to explain to her daughter that there's going to come a moment where she's not around anymore. There we go. There we go. It's without fail. You know, and the focus is on this mom and this daughter duo, their relationship, and how this mom's illness is impacting her daughter's life and how much her daughter just wants her mom to be with her, even though she knows, like, the little girl kind of has an idea, like, mom's not going to be here forever. I get that impression, and I just want her to be with me, but her mom wants to write her these letters, and Violet's torn between the two of them, and the story is about the mom and the daughter, but it's about Violet. It's Violet's opportunity to see a different type of love. It's her opportunity to explore that desire to be there for somebody even once you're gone, right? It's that desire to have someone come close and stay close, even though you know that they're not going to be able to stay with you forever. But you just want the comfort of having them in those final moments. And watching her break down at the end of that episode, Violet, watching her feel those emotions, feel that sadness, and feel the love between this mom and daughter was beautiful. But here I say, the episode wasn't about Violet. Technically, it was about the mom and daughter. But at the end, it came back to Violet, and it came back to the impact that had on Violet, and how Violet now carried that lesson, that moment that really did get her. She's now carrying that with her into the next phase, into the next episode, whatever you want to call it. I really appreciate a story like that. I appreciate a story where, yeah, I've got these two people who are kind of like really important and we got to focus on them, but also don't forget about the main character who is the most important character, who is selfishly the point of everything. In 13 episodes, y'all, I felt like I got seasons worth of healing and trauma and fights and resolutions and closure and this and that. I feel like I got all of that in 13 episodes, and normally it takes like 3 seasons to get that all out there and resolved, and it just was done really well. Now, Violet Evergarden is about a young woman a young girl. I think she's like 15 or 14. She's pretty much a kiddo. And she lives in this like post-war steampunk era type town. I get the impression for some reason, like the visuals and the way the characters looked and stuff like that, I don't know why, but I got the impression that it was kind of like a more German or Dutch type of ambiance that was going on. I'm not sure why. I can't tell you why, because I've never done that. I've never been to Germany. I don't speak Dutch or anything like that. I don't. Where's Dutch? Where is Dutch? Anyways, I'm exposing myself. Angela, stop it. Stop it. So that's the setting for the story of Violet Evergarden. Violet herself was a child soldier, so she's human. I definitely thought that she was some type of like cyborg for some reason. I'm not sure why, but she is fully human. She's a human girl, but she has no family. She has no emotional attachment or connection to anybody prior to meeting Major Gilbert. And prior to meeting Major Gilbert, I get the impression that she underwent some type of training or something that created that soldier aspect of her, right? The ability for her to like go into war with grown ass men and put them on their ass in 2 seconds. Some of that I feel like happened before she met Major Gilbert, because we didn't get anything about her and Major Gilbert that would lead me to think that he contributed to that side of her. But anyways, Major Gilbert's brother, I don't remember his name. I didn't love him. I really didn't love him. He gifts Violet, a human child, to his brother and says, here's your toy. You can do whatever you want with her, use her for war, whatever you want to do. And not in that like ill sense, just like war stuff. And Major Gilbert realizes that she's a child. She's a kid who has no knowledge of the world. She doesn't even know basic emotions. Like at one point he's like yelling at her in a tent, and he's telling her like, you're scared, aren't you? You're scared because I'm talking to you like this and I've never talked to you like this and you don't know what to do. And she's like, I don't understand what that means. I don't know what fear means. And she's like sobbing and crying, but she doesn't understand what she's feeling that is making her body react in that way and producing those tears. And at this point, she has developed an attachment to Major Gilbert. She sees him as a caretaker, as a guardian, as a leader. She's constantly turning to him for orders because Violet doesn't really understand the world. She doesn't understand society or her place in the world outside of the orders that she needs to be given, she needs to receive in order to then act out those orders. And at that point, then she feels like she has a purpose. It's so sad because, yeah, we're talking about an animated show, right? It's not real people on the TV screen, but I know that there are people, kids out there, humans out there who exist in that environment. It might not be exactly that setting of a steampunk, post-war, whatever, but they exist in a world, in their environment, where they don't know how unless someone tells them exactly what to do. And that is why watching Violet Evergarden made me so emotional, because I'm like, yeah, it's an anime, but I can definitely see how this is somebody's reality out there, and that is heartbreaking. Anyways, because I don't want to cry. Apparently I do want to cry, because we're sitting here talking about Violet Evergarden, which, like I said, if you don't cry watching that show, I have questions. Where's your heart, buddy? Anyways, she was part of this war with Major Gilbert. The war is over, and Major Gilbert disappears. They get to like one final like battle, I guess, and just how the battle plays out, Major Gilbert is pretty much like down and out for the count. He's really injured. He's having that last conversation with Violet where he tells her to go live. He tells her that he loves her and he just wants her to live. And it's really heartfelt, and it comes up multiple times. Like, many times did I watch that scene play out between the two of them, but every single time that it came back on screen, it felt like we were seeing a different part of the conversation, or a different perspective almost, even though there's only two people in that conversation. Every time I watched it, it felt new. It felt fresh. It didn't feel like I had just seen it and I'm watching it again. And I'm like, well, why are we doing this again? It never felt like that. So Major Gilbert leaves Violet with those words: live, I love you, go out and live your life. Basically under the impression that he's going to die. Violet then blacks out. We don't really get to see much after that. And she wakes up in the hospital. Her first thought is Major Gilbert. He's nowhere to be found. And somebody, I guess, that used to be in the Hodgins. He used to be in the army, but then he left, and now he owns this like letter mail courier service thing. Violet goes with him. She ends up going with him, and it's pretty obvious that Violet doesn't understand the world around her, doesn't understand human emotions nor her own emotions. And it's very obvious that she requires the rigidity of orders. She needs orders in order to be fulfilled, to exist, to know what to do next, to have direction. And without that, she gets very panicky and very anxious, which is completely understandable. So it's Hodgins and the rest of the dolls that work with Violet. It's kind of they take it upon themselves to help her. Once they understand that that's what's going on, they take it upon themselves to help her and to kind of like help her understand, like, you don't have to have orders in order to live your life. You can live your life purely based on how you want to live it and what you want out of life. And that's a really hard lesson for Violet to learn. It's something that takes more than 13 episodes, I think, because even at the end of the show, I still feel like there's so much more to her and to her life and to her journey, but you got to see so much of it in those 13 episodes. I didn't feel like we left on a cliffhanger like that, at least. I didn't feel like there wasn't enough closure. It just really felt genuinely like there was so much more. There was so much more, and I love that feeling sometimes. I think when it's done well, I really enjoy it because it gives me the impression that, like, it's kind of more of a real story. Now, another part, we're kind of just like skipping around here because it's just thoughts that I had when I was watching the show, and I guess a part of me kind of feels like maybe I should start writing, but then I don't want to feel like I'm doing homework. I don't know that I need to go that far of me personally, but a part of me feels like maybe I should start writing stuff sometimes, because I don't know if you can tell, but there's no script to this video. We're going with the flow, and my flow is jumping from that final moment with Major Gilbert to when Violet finds out or is told what happened to Major Gilbert, which is that he's potentially not coming back ever. And Violet, that happens like closer to the end of the show, right? Where she finds out about Major Gilbert, or she's told like, hey, you're probably not going to see him ever again. She's gone through so much transformation. She has learned so many lessons. Her journey has really been a journey up until that moment. And at that moment, you kind of see the devastation. So throughout the series, right, you have Violet who is writing letters for people. Most of those people are writing letters to those they've lost in the war, or those that they're trying to find, or something like that. Most of them are love letters. Some of them are a little sneaky, and it's like an opera singer trying to write a chorus for an act or whatever, a show. You know, but everything is centered around the concept of love and missing somebody and wanting to be with somebody, wanting them to know how you feel, wanting to get your emotions across, and needing words to do so, right? And she gets to that part about Major Gilbert, and you can see the complete and total devastation. You can see how it breaks Violet, because the whole time she's going through all these letters and meeting these clients and learning how to be an auto memories doll, she's also learning the definition of love. She's learning what it is to care about someone so deeply, right? She's learning what unconditional love is. And then she finds out about Major Gilbert, and you can tell that she almost loses hope. It almost felt like Violet felt like there was no point anymore. And I don't mean that in like a way. I mean it in like, I felt for her. I felt like she kind of lost her way. She's like, well, if I'm learning about all these emotions and I'm trying to figure out what love is, but you're telling me that the person who said it to me, the person that introduced the concept of love to me, is now gone, what's the point? What is the point of continuing to try to learn about this? That was such a real moment. It was such a real experience, in my opinion. And to watch Violet go through that, to feel that way, to watch her process that emotion, and then come out on the other side of it, understanding like, okay, this person's gone. But what have I learned through all the letters that I've been writing, through all the clients that I have worked with? It's the fact that we need to leave things with others, right? Major Gilbert left Violet with that message: live. I love you. Go live. Violet now understands that it wasn't necessarily about Major Gilbert. It was more so about her learning the definition of love and living her life with that knowledge, living her life knowing what love is, and maybe having a better understanding of how it looks and how she can show someone else that she loves them. And it's beautiful. It was heartbreaking because in my last video, if you watched it about Violet Evergarden, I mentioned how I wanted her to find Major Gilbert. I wanted her to find that thing that was pushing her and motivating her to change so much, right? But unfortunately, Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like she's going to get that. It doesn't seem like she's going to get that happily ever after ending that I personally, as the viewer, wanted her to get. But she's walking away with something that I want to say is just as good, if not better, almost, because in a very selfish way, she's walking away with the ability to understand love. At least, like, she's beginning to understand love. She's beginning to understand Major Gilbert's true message to her. And it's really sad. It's really sad. And the last episode, the last like 2 seconds of that episode, I was like, Violet Evergarden, this show is crazy. But also, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful progression from start to finish. And I love Violet so much. I really do. There's some characters, I think, that they kind of worm their way into your heart and they like settle down and they're there. They're never going to leave you and you're going to think about them repeatedly throughout your life, throughout your day, your week, whatever. Violet is definitely one of those characters. She's someone who never, like, how do I say it? Violet never really did anything wrong, right? I don't think that Violet had a true understanding of right and wrong. Therefore, me as the viewer getting to know her and watching her go through her journey, there was never a moment where I was like, Violet, you fucked up. Or like, Violet, you shouldn't have done that. Violet felt like a very pure and innocent being. Childlike. I mean, she was a child. She was like 14 or 15. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there was just something about Violet that made me truly feel like this is damn near a perfect character. Like, this is a character who doesn't necessarily need to rely on like shock or extremes. She just is. She just is. She's just existing. She's just trying to live. She's just trying to learn. She's trying to love. And all of that made her so endearing. And I think that is what, the way that Violet is written, the way that she's written and the journey that she goes on, of course, I think all of that really came together and created kind of like the perfect prototype for character development, in my opinion. Like, a character who doesn't need to be morally ambiguous. They don't need to be morally black. They don't need to be a saint. They just are. This is a character who just is, and we get to watch them be. And I thoroughly, and I'm like speechless. I don't really know how to get it across, but I love that. I loved Violet so much. And I think that is why I pretty much cried in every episode with her, because every episode I felt like we were cracking another code. We were breaking down another wall. Violet was expanding. She was expanding her perspective. And I loved that for her because I loved her. And I think that is one of the most beautiful parts of Violet Evergarden. It's not even the show itself. It's not even the character itself. It's the fact that me, the viewer, a human being in the real world, I guess, unless we're talking about dimensions or something, I loved this fictional character so much that when she felt, I felt. And when she was down, I was down. And all I wanted was to see her get back up again. I think that Violet Evergarden is a beautiful, it's a wonderful show. Like, there's a lot of shows out there. There's a lot of books out there, stories where it's going to call to you. It's going to resonate with you. It's going to make you feel things. And you're going to be like, whoa, like I didn't know I liked it that much. That is rare, in my opinion. It's not often that you read or watch something and it calls to you that strongly. But I think that Violet Evergarden is definitely one where you don't even realize it's happening as it's happening. I didn't realize I liked it so much until I was like, holy crap, I love this little girl. I love this little girl and I love everything she went through and I love how she handled everything. And I love the fact that she tripped and fell and busted her knees a couple of times, but then she got back up again. And I love that when she got back up again, it wasn't quick. It wasn't with all this optimism and sunshine and rainbows. It was real. Like, she got back up and she was like, what the hell just happened? What am I supposed to do? Like, what is going on around me? All those real emotions packed into 13 episodes into a fictional character. Like, I don't know. Like, what else do you want? Like, what else could you want from a show that you want to feel something while you're watching it? You know what I mean? And like, don't get me wrong. Like, my favorite anime, well, I have two, but one of my favorite animes is Attack on Titan. And that's an anime where you're going to feel a lot of different things, a range of emotions, right? And I think that those artists did a fantastic job with Attack on Titan. I think that from start to finish, I definitely went through pretty much every human emotion possible, and I think I maybe even discovered a couple of them. With Violet Evergarden, right, I think the range was a little bit more reduced for Violet Evergarden. However, I feel like the emotions we did feel were big. They were big feelings, even as a viewer. And I just can't get over the fact that that did that to me. Mind you, I'm a very emotional consumer. So like when I read stories, when I watch them, I do tend to get a little emotional most of the time. It's very rare that I read a book and I don't feel something extremely. Like, it's okay. I'm used to that. Not aesthetically pleasing. I don't have coasters, so I have to put a napkin on my coffee because it's like dripping all over my desk and stuff. It's really annoying me. As I was saying before I got stuck on aesthetically pleasing. Why is it not coming out correctly? Aesthetically pleasing. I'm so sick of myself. It's not even funny. Like I said, smaller range of emotions, but I felt like they were big. I felt like we felt the small range of emotions. I think something else, and I kind of have mentioned it, is that Violet doesn't necessarily go through the most extreme character development, but it feels very natural, in my opinion. It felt right for the story. It felt right for her as the character, what she did end up going through up until the 13th episode. I think the part about Violet that is the most endearing, or the part that's going to stick with me the most, is the fact that at the beginning of the show, Violet is weird and awkward. And we know why. We come to understand why. We come to even sympathize or empathize with the why she's like that. At the end of the show, she's still just as awkward and like kind of weird, but also she's feeling. Violet now has emotions and she understands those emotions and what they mean for her and to her. And even though she doesn't understand them 100%, like she understands them to a certain degree, which is huge considering where she's coming from at the beginning, right? To where she ends up at the end. And I think that that is maybe what calls to me so much with certain characters is the idea that you don't have to be completely different, right? I don't have to be here and then be all the way over there at the end of whatever I'm going through. I can be here and at the end be here. As long as I got through that, as long as I learned something, as long as I've maybe changed for the better to be happier, whatever the case is, that's what's important. And I think that when that is acknowledged in art, in the way that I consume art, which is reading and watching, that just does something for me. It resonates with me. It makes me feel seen, because I think sometimes as someone who went through their 20s, and 20s are hard. I feel like we don't get enough credit when we make it through our 20s. And someone who's now in their 30s, and I've got to get to the end of the 30s too, you have a lot of moments where you feel like you should be somewhere else, right? Like whether it's society or family or whatever, or just yourself, but you start to feel like, I feel like I should be there right now, and I'm still here right now. And that is very disconcerting, and it's very jarring, and you don't really get a lot of support when it comes to that emotion, that feeling of like I'm behind or I'm not where I should be. I feel like there's not enough support out there for us when we're going through that. And I feel like it's something we kind of all go through, especially in your 20s. Going into like your 30s, I think that that's when it really hits, and we're all kind of like floundering around with no support system to help get us through that. But you read stories or you watch them, whatever, and you watch characters who they're here right now, and at the end of their story, they're really just here. But you watch them go through so much, and you watch them surpass so much. And to me, and maybe that's just the like, I don't know if that's a specific personality type or what. Maybe it's just the like emotional part of me, the sensitive part of me, let's say, that appreciates that. I feel like that's the support that I needed when I was in my 20s, and I felt like I wasn't getting anything done, and I was behind, and everybody was looking down on me. I feel like those are the things that helped me get through that, is watching characters who, you know, okay, they won the war, but they're still dealing with all of that like trauma. I just feel seen and heard with characters like Violet Evergarden, because it was a beautiful transformation, but she didn't become a butterfly at the end. In my opinion, like she was still the caterpillar. She was still the caterpillar at the end of the show, but she still underwent such a beautiful transformation as that caterpillar. And I think that that's okay. That's okay. And I think that that's just as meaningful as when you do go from that caterpillar into that butterfly, let's say. I don't even like insects, but I hope that by using that analogy, I am getting across like what I'm trying to say, which is that Violet's transformation didn't feel so big, but it also felt monumental at the same time. And I think it's beautiful watching a story like that, a story that feels otherworldly, but at the same time feels like I can understand it. You know what I mean? Anyways, maybe you don't, but I hope you do. If you don't, go watch it, and then we can come back and maybe you will understand, and I won't sound crazy anymore. Okay, another aspect of Violet Evergarden that I adored. I mean, I loved the entire show start to finish. But in the last few episodes, Violet, we watch her really face her old self, that child soldier who was kind of like a killing machine, a weapon, right? She was created that way. Like that's who she was nurtured to become. I don't like the word nurtured because that I feel like has more positive connotations, but you know, I hope I'm getting that across. What I mean, sorry. I hope I'm getting across what I mean. There we go. She's basically conditioned to become this child soldier, right? And we watch her go through all these episodes. We watch her go through this transformation, and it's coming up, you know, like it's coming up those aspects of her as a child soldier that she has to kind of face down and go get through. But then you get to those final few episodes, and that's where I felt like I watched the young child soldier come face to face with the young teenager who's trying to get past being a child soldier, who's trying to be more than just a child soldier. And Major Gilbert's brother, I don't remember his name because I didn't like him. A couple of times he throws in her face that she's just a murderer. That's the only thing she knows how to do is take orders and kill. There's a moment where Violet, you know, she has the opportunity. She could regress and she could become that child soldier again because that would be easy. That would be the easiest way for her to get through this obstacle, right? And Major Gilbert's brother kind of is like, yeah, just what are you doing? Like, just do it the way you know how to do it, the easy way. And it's the resiliency. It's that persistence to be different, to take what she's learned and actually use it instead of throwing it aside and going back to her old habits or old self, let's say. It's that about Violet that makes her an admirable character. She's such an admirable person for that, for acknowledging this is who I used to be and I could do this and it would be really easy and I'm thinking about doing it, but at the same time, no, I'm going to do different. I'm going to do better. I was told to live, not kill. It's that moment where she's like, I'm not going to kill anymore. I'm not going to continue to be who I was. I want to be who I am now so that I can see who I'm going to be in the future. It was that moment. I broke down, y'all. I think I cried for like 2 straight episodes. I don't think I blinked without tears for 2 episodes. But it's that, I don't know, it's those transformations in Violet that are so important and so meaningful. And she's still a child soldier at the end. She's still very much so a child soldier at the end of the show. She still took down like 6 guys without blinking eyes, right? She didn't kill them though, but she still did it. She didn't completely abandon who she used to be. She just is standing up for the person that she wants to be. And I don't know, that's beautiful. And even in like reality, in our real life, how many times have you been faced with something where, yeah, you could do what you used to do and it would work, it would probably be easier, but we have to like stand up for ourselves and say, no, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna do it this way. And it might be a little bit harder, but I wanna do it this way because I owe it to myself now. I don't know. Maybe I read too much into it. Maybe I'm going too deep into it and it's not that serious at all, which 100% it could be. I could be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But I just think that the way the story is written and the way that I got to see Violet, there was so much, I couldn't help but see more. I couldn't help but experience all those feelings. And I don't know. It's such a beautiful show. It's a really beautiful show. And I think the animation is wonderful too. And the scoring, I think that the animation and the scoring helped to take the story to the next level, in my opinion. There were moments where that scoring came in and I was like, oh, y'all gonna make me go through it right now, aren't you? And the scoring felt very emotional. It felt like it matched what Violet was feeling and experiencing really, really well. And then the animation, Violet herself has no facial expressions. And the few moments that she does, she looks downright crazy, in my opinion. She looks insane because I was so used to her being expressionless, right? So when she does smile, when she does cry, it's like groundbreaking. Me as the viewer, I'm like, well, now I have to smile because you're smiling and you can't be the only one smiling because I need you to know that your smile is beautiful. That's what that show did to me. Literally, I'm such a sap. I'm such a sap, and you know what? You love it. You love it, and that's why you come back here time and time again to watch me get sappy over the stuff that I like. and I appreciate you for giving me a safe space. Ultimately, you know, to wrap this up, I think that the biggest part of Violet Evergarden, the part that is going to stick with me along with Violet herself as a character, is the idea that there's always an opportunity to heal. There's always a moment to better yourself. There's always a chance to do things differently and honor the person that you are, still having respect for the person you used to be, you know? And I think that's beautiful. And you don't see it often. Again, I feel like I read a lot of books where characters do undergo major transformations and development, and it feels like they're a completely different person at the end. It feels like they're kind of shunning who they used to be in favor of who they are now or who they are going to be. It's very rare to find someone like Violet who they're not shunning who they used to be. They're not forgetting who they used to be. They're also honoring who they are now. They're doing it simultaneously, and they're doing it in a way where, like, I'm gonna take the pieces of me that I liked, the pieces of me that worked and were good, and I'm gonna use them now. And I'm going to acknowledge that there's parts of me that didn't work and weren't great. I'm gonna acknowledge them, and I'm gonna hold them there because I don't wanna go back to that. I wanna keep moving forward. The opportunity to heal and to progress and to transform is always there. It doesn't go away just because you hit your 30s. It doesn't go away just because you had kids. It doesn't go away because you got married. It's always there. It's just up to us to stick up for ourselves, to stand up to ourselves for ourselves, and to see past that moment where you're like, damn, this is all it's ever gonna be. No, it could be so much more. It's just not gonna be easy, I imagine, because what's that saying? The things worth having are never easy to get. Something like that. Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. That's what I pulled from Violet Evergarden. I can never end on a serious note, y'all. Emotions make me anxious. Anyways, I loved Violet Evergarden. If you couldn't tell from however long this video ends up being, I loved Violet Evergarden. I thought it was beautiful. There's a couple of moments, especially that episode between the mom and the daughter, that they just really struck a chord with me. It was just beautiful. It was beautiful between the animation, the storytelling, the characters, the music. It was just all around beautiful. I really wish I could rewatch it for the first time all over again, because I don't know that it's ever gonna hit as hard as it did the first time. That impactful. And yeah, I'm done talking about Violet Evergarden because I feel like I could keep going. And that's not gonna work because I'm not editing another hour-long video. Yo, that took forever. So yeah, I have a newfound respect for content creators because that editing part, whoo, that's a doozy. But anyways, that is it for today's video. We talked about Violet Evergarden. I haven't watched the movie yet because the way the anime ended made me want to immediately turn on the movie, and I was like, no, sit and marinate in this feeling and then watch the movie. So I will be watching the movie soon. And then I'll hit you up with another video about Violet Evergarden, I'm sure. Hopefully not as long as this one, I'm sorry. I think that the movie is maybe going to give me something that I didn't get in the anime, which I'm not mad about that, about not getting it in the anime. In the series, I think I'm gonna get it from the movie. So a part of me is like, just hold on, so that when I sit to watch the movie, I can enjoy it. I can really immerse myself in that story. So that's why I haven't watched the movie yet. Also because, like, there's only so much crying a girl can do, and I needed a moment. My eyes needed a break. They were bloodshot. They looked like I had been standing over the stove doing things I shouldn't be, basically. Weed. I meant weed. I didn't mean anything else. Sorry. Not the greatest with words, in case you guys haven't noticed. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the support, every single video. It really means the world to me. You have no idea. And I will see you guys for the next one. As always, happy reading and or watching.